Hey everybody, and welcome back to the board meeting. Today we're doing a top 10 list, and today's list is the top 10 games that have grown on me. Games that went from either like a hate to a love in the extreme cases, or maybe just from like a neutral to a like, or a like to a love, or a hate to a neutral kind of thing. I'm going to be numbering this list for the biggest jumps for the games. Like, my number one game is going to be a game that I really disliked when I first tried it the first few times, and now I would say I love that game. So you're going to be numbering it from that, the biggest disparities from the start to where they are now for myself. And yeah, it just shows that you should try a game a couple times before you give a final judgment, because you just might change your mind about that game. You might just have had a bad experience for that first one or two games, maybe. So let's just jump into this list, starting with number 10. Number 10 is a game that I would say that I enjoyed it just from the start, but it has gone to I enjoyed it to this is one of my favorite games now. It's one that gets broken out pretty frequently. This is Space Base. Space Base is a game, it's this engine building game. You're going to be rolling dice and activating certain ships in your little area. You're going to then buy, those ships are going to give you coins or money basically, or points, and then you're going to use your money to buy more ships. The ships that you buy replace the old ship goes on top. Now that's important because if everybody else on another person's turn, they're going to activate all their ships that are on their top part that the other people rolled for. So you're going to get stuff a lot of times on other people's turns. In fact, the more ships you buy and the later in the game, the more that, like, on other people's turns, cool things are going to happen for you. And it towards the end of the game, you're like, I don't even want to roll the dice because I'm getting so much stuff on other people's turns. And that's why this game has just continued to grow for me, is that it's just one of those games that there's no downtime, because you're almost more invested on other people's turns than your own turn now, towards the end of the game especially. And it's one of the best games that has no downtime for it. So number 10 is Space Base. It's great game. Going to the next one. The next one is a game that I think I didn't enjoy it as much as I do now, because I don't think it's the best looking game, but the mechanics of it are great. This is Ethnos. In Ethnos, it is a simple card game, area control game. You're going to be playing out, on your turn, you're either going to take a card or play down a group of cards. And when you play a group of cards, you have to play all of the same type of character card or the same color card. And then you're going to put one of these circular discs on an area on the board and trying to gain control the majority of those particular spots to get points. This game itself has kind of gotten replaced, actually, though, with the new rethemed edition of Archaeos Society, which is a little bit different. It uses tracks instead of the area control mechanism of Ethnos. But I think Ethnos, it just was like, after a while, I'm like, it's so simple, but it's so good. You have some good decisions. It's good, like, sort of pushing your luck, sort of you might be drawing cards blind, hoping that you get a certain color card or a certain character card in order to be put in with your other cards. Because if you play a group of cards, then all the cards that you didn't use for that group have to go back into the open market for other people to grab. And it's just a really fast, really enjoyable game. So number 9 is Ethnos. Going to number 8. Number 8 is a family style game that it had a big boom pretty much right out of the gate when this game came out. This is Azul. This is an abstract game where you are drafting tiles, and these tiles are going to go on your own personal player board, and you're drafting from all of these little circular discs. There's a bunch of cubes on a circular disc by the players. You're going to grab all the one color on one of those discs. All the tiles that you didn't grab from that disc go into the center area, and that's another area you can take tiles from. And it just had this big boom of it, and I played it, and I'm like, okay, yeah, it's decent, But over the years, it continues to come to the table. It's one that I like to show people that want like a family style, family light game, but yet it gives you a lot of good decisions. And this game can be pretty mean if you want it to be. It can be a lot of hate drafting if you want it to be, or it can be just a light, friendly game, or just a death battle of drafting. So number 8 is Azul. Going to number 7. Number 7 is a game, when I first played it, I was like, yeah, this game isn't for me. This is Camel Up, second edition. And the first time I played it, I was like, yeah, it's not really a game I want to play again. But when I played this game for the first time, I wanted to play heavy Euro style games. I want to play games that made me think, made my brain hurt, manage resources, do these things. And this is very much the opposite of you're betting on these camels that are going around this circle, and you don't really know what's going to happen. And there's just crazy camels that are going the opposite way, so they can just carry your camel that you've been betting on away, and you'll be losing that way. And I had the first time I played it, I was more annoyed than having fun. Now I played it recently several more times, and I'm like, yeah, this is just a good, fun, raucous time. It's just all filled with laughter. People are standing up. Oh, I want this camel to go this way, and it's just really fun. I really have enjoyed my last few plays of it. So it went from a game that, yeah, I was like, yeah, it's just not a game for me. I didn't necessarily hate it, but I'm like, yeah, this is not the style of game that I want to play. And my openness to these sort of family party games has opened up a bit for these types of games. So number 7 is Camel Up. Going to number 6. Number 6 is a game that I just thought was straight up dumb the first couple times I played it. This is Abandon All Artichokes. This is a small card game, and it's sort of a deck building game, but at the start of the game, you have only artichokes in your hand. And you're going to be getting these vegetable cards that are going to let you get rid of your artichokes. If ever you draw a hand of cards and there's no artichokes in it, that's how you win this game. So it's like a deck shedding game almost. And yeah, the first couple times I played it, I'm like, yeah, I don't enjoy this. I just thought it was dumb. I didn't want it in my collection. I actually gave this game away to the people that one of the people that I was playing it with. I was like, you can just have it. I don't want it in my collection. I don't want it to infect my other games. But, then, she started bringing it to game night a couple times here and there. I'm like, yeah, that is a good game. I do enjoy it. And I actually ended up rebuying it. And I've rebought a couple of these games on this list. I'll tell you the games that I got rid of when I get to them. But yeah, I ended up rebuying this game because I was like, I made too fast of a judgment on this game. I mean, maybe it is a little bit of a dumb game, but I enjoy it. I have a good time playing it. It's full of just interesting decisions and trying to get lucky with that hand of cards, drawing just vegetables rather than the artichokes. All right, so number 6, that was Abandon All Artichokes. Going to number 5. Number 5 is another deck building game, interesting enough. This is Fort. Fort is a game where you are building up a deck of cards and you're playing out these cards to do certain actions. And you're just trying to basically build up a fort, get these resources to build up your fort. And when you play a card and do that action, other people have the opportunity to follow that action. So it's one of those games that pretty much everybody's going to be doing something, or they have the opportunity to do that on other people's turns. And I remember playing this and I'm like, okay, it's an okay game. It's an okay game. And then this is another game that I just gave away. And after I gave it away and after I played it several more times, I'm like, this is a good game. This is a really good game. I really enjoy Fort now. I enjoy that you get to do things on other people's turns. Like in Space Base, I like these games that have very little downtime, where you can do things on other people's turns. And Fort offers you that, and with this cute little theme on top of it. And maybe the theme is what threw me off when I played it. I'm like, yeah, this is not a game for me. But then I gave it away. I gave it up on it too soon. And after I played it a few more times, I'm like, this is a good game. This is one of my favorite deck building games now, actually, I would say. And I would say it's probably in my top 10 deck building games now. So, yep, number 5 is Fort. Number 4 is a game that is basically one of the godfathers of cooperative games. This is Pandemic. And I never hated Pandemic. First time I played Pandemic, I was like, okay, this is an okay game. And then I went and got other cooperative games. But then I kept coming back to Pandemic, and every time I played, I'd be like, oh, that is a good game. That's a good game. And I just started even more enjoying it. And I have every Pandemic game in my collection now. And so this game went from a game that I thought was okay to a game that I absolutely love. Pandemic is in my top 20 games of all time now. I love Pandemic. I am always down to play Pandemic. Pretty much any version of Pandemic you want to play, I'm like, yeah, I'll play it. To me, Pandemic is one of games that I don't think there's a lot of perfect games out there, but to me, Pandemic is a game that I think is almost perfect mechanically. It's fun, has a lot of tension in it. It's usually pretty close when you're playing the game. And if it's too easy for you, you can jump up the difficulty a little bit. There's different flavors that you can play. I really like the Cthulhu one, actually, but that one's very, very hard. But yeah, just Pandemic, regular base Pandemic itself is really good. So number 4, Pandemic. Going to number 3. Number 3 is a 2-player only skirmishing game. This is Summoner Wars 2nd edition. I never got the chance to play the 1st edition, so Summoner Wars is it's kind of the 2nd edition is kind of a newer game. I think it came out 2021. And I got it pretty much right away when it got reprinted, because I was always interested in playing the old one, but I never got a chance to. So when the new one came out, I was like, okay, I'll get into the base game. And I bought the base game, and I played it twice, and then I put it away for like a year and a half. I didn't touch it again. And I remember playing it, and I'm like, okay, it's an okay game. I don't see why it got so much buzz. But then I broke it out again, and a couple of the people that I play games with, I played games with them. So I was playing games with this person, then I go over to this other person's house to play Summoner Wars with them, and then over here to Summoner Wars with this person. And I realize how asymmetric all of these factions are, but they're very balanced, and you have a lot of thinky decisions each turn, because you have to follow the order of operations, and it lists right there. You're going to be playing cards, moving cards, and playing cards, or whatever the operation is, and it just offers a really thinky game, a really thinky skirmish game. And there is a bit of luck, because you're going to be rolling dice, but it doesn't bother me too much, the dice in this game. And so it just went from one of those games that I'm like, I probably rated it like a 6.5. Now I probably rate it a 9. It's up there with some of my favorite games. It's one of my favorite skirmish games now. So number 3, Summoner Wars 2nd edition. Going to number 2. Number 2 is a big, giant, epic battling game that I absolutely despised the first couple times I played it. This is Blood Rage. I played this game, and I played it when I learned it. I played it with a friend. We played it a 2-player game. Hated it. Did not like it at all. Played it, brought it to game night, and played a 3-player game of it. A little bit better, but I'm thinking like this was maybe a 5.5. I did not like it. I know that one of the people that I played with, they're like, oh, I liked it. I'm like, you can have it. You can have this game. I don't want this game. And so they got it, and then they would bring it to game night, and we'd play 4-player games of it, a full 4-player game of Blood Rage, and it instantly became so much better to me. I do not like this game at 2 players. Do not like this game at 3 players. At a full player count, though, I really enjoy this game. I mean, I didn't think I would from the get-go like this game, because it is a very in-your-face sort of battling game. That's what it looks like from the outside. But when you dive deep down into it, the drafting is very important. Your strategy doesn't have to be about taking over the map and killing everybody, winning all these battles. You can secretly be trying to lose all these battles. You can be going to places, getting killed by Ragnarok and all these other places that are going to get you just as many points for your different quests that you have. It's all about drafting and all about your strategy for that particular game. It doesn't have to be a mean, bloodthirsty game. It can be if you want it to be, but it doesn't have to be. And so I just found that over the time, like the strategies, I really started liking it, and it's a fun game to play. So yeah, it went from like 5.5 to probably 8.59 or so for myself. Yeah, so, yep, number 2 is Blood Rage. Going to my number 1 game that grew on me. This is a game that I owned. I played it, did not like it at all. And then it sat on my shelf for like 6 months, and I was like, I don't have an urge to play this game again. So I gave it away. Did not own it anymore. Then I'll just tell you the game. This is Spirit Island. This is more of a recent comeback for myself. So, the first time, played it, did not like it at all. Got rid of it. Then a couple of friends of mine really enjoy Spirit Island. And they brought it. And the second game I played of this was, they taught me after, because it had been probably a year and a half that I had not played this game. So they brought it, taught me it again, but they taught me with all of the expansions in it, and it was a very quick teach. It wasn't like a very detailed, so I was still kind of like confused of what was going on in the game. And the second time I played it, I didn't like it. I hated it even worse. I was like, yeah, I don't want to play that again. Eventually played it again, didn't like it again. Then I made my top 25 solo games of all time. And Spirit Island, of course, was not on that list. I made this list about a month and a half ago. Spirit Island wasn't on it. All the comments, why is Spirit Island not on this? I'm like, no. And they kept saying it. So eventually I'm like, okay, I'm going to get this game again. I'm going to deep dive into it. I'm going to play it solo. I'm going to play it more multiplayer. And yeah, the game opened up for me the more I played this game, because I bought it again, played it a lot more, played with all the spirits, and yeah, it really opens up the more experience you have with this game. The strategy comes alive. The more that you understand how the structure of the game is working, the game just comes out more and more, and you see the depth of it. You see the strategy of it. You see your decision space in it. And having all the asymmetric spirits to play with is great. I've bought expansions for this game. I bought the Horizons of Spirit Island, which gives you 4 new spirits, but I've gotten a couple more expansions. Playing through those currently. I love this as a solo game. This is going, if I make another top solo games of all time list, Spirit Island is going to be up there. It's going to be at least in the top 5, at least, at very minimum. So yeah, it jumped up from, yeah, I do not want to play this game ever again, to, yeah, this is going to be one of my all-time favorite games now. So yes, number 1 is Spirit Island, a game just that absolutely grew on me. And so that will complete this list. Make sure to comment down below some games that just really opened up, that grew on you the more that you played them. Maybe you really hated them to start, and then eventually you just absolutely were enamored with it. Yep, but either way, make sure to like and subscribe to see more weekly content from me, Shane, at the board meeting in the future. Hope you all have an amazing day. Take care.